Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice 2019, where we're going to be going into our final match of the day. It's going to be Neeb versus Leenock to find out who's going to be able to get into that third spot here, going into the round of 12. Brrr, no way. Whew. I'm too sick for that. In both ways,
You're pretty sick. You're a pretty sick individual.
Yes. Oh, I clapped on broadcast. That was a bad time. Anyway, I have Todd and I have DeMuslim here with me to figure out who is going to be advancing on, as well as looking at some of the other games going on here throughout this group. Let's look at our first player, Neeb here. Gentlemen, he has an opportunity to be able to make it to the round of 12 and guarantee himself at least $5,000.
And his fate is in his own hands, which doesn't happen very often in this scenario. Sometimes you have to hope that other players, are going to mess up and that you're going to have to get a win yourself, or sometimes not even at all. Like, you just can only watch what's happening. But here, no. He has to beat Leenock, and if he does, then he's through to the next round. So very important for him to, I guess, collect all of the forces that he's got left in him and play his absolute best, because he's going to need no less than that against the Leenock, who definitely impressed in his own way today.
To consolidate all of his thoughts and forces, of course, as well. Very important.
Yeah, great word, good word.
Good word. Ben, your thoughts?
So Neeb is one of those really nail-biting players, right?
Yeah.
Like, he can either turn up, lose like 4 warp prisms 5 minutes into the game, and it's like, oh no, Neeb's just lost 0-3. Or he does what he did here, and he actually can go toe-to-toe with some of the absolute best players, like taking down Maru, even though he said Maru isn't playing his best games today.
Still Maru.
Yeah, and he looked really fresh against Lambo too. I love the Neeb that's shown up, and it's always good when he does show up, because some of his micro, some of his control, his general understanding of the game, it's phenomenal. Like, when he came onto the scene in 2017 as Protoss, like, he's one of the players that switched races, then dominated WCS.
At the same time, Ben, someone like Leenock on the other side of this battlefield, he's a guy that's extremely threatening, right? I mean, we've seen him being extremely aggressive, using Nidus Worms to his full potential. Lambo tried that against Neeb, didn't quite work out for him, but that was sheerly down to Neeb's amazing defenses.
Yeah, if the former games are anything to go by, Neeb's the wall and Leenock's just going to headbutt into him, and whether he can really bust him or not, that's going to be the question. Leenock was a former champion a long time ago. Like, I remember when he got to GSL finals, just knocking out everybody. He used to dominate the MLGs, even the really big MLGs back in the day. It's nice to see him in pretty decent form, honestly. Like, he's really impressed me with a lot of his games. His series against Maru, which was like the first upset of the day kind of thing, he played so good, actually. Like, his Ling run buys were great. His decision-making was awesome.
Yep.
And yeah, he's shown he can do anything to get a victory in the games too.
Thoughts on Leenock?
Yeah, to still be relevant after playing the game for such a long time is very, very impressive. Like, he's definitely stood the test of time, and it would be so easy to kind of discredit him and be like, oh yeah, no, like, he's not nearly as good, he's a shadow of his former self. No, he's actually incredibly competitive still, and here yet again at the highest level, on the verge of potentially making it into the round of 12 here if he takes out Neeb.
All right, well, we have other matches going on. We have Trap versus Lambo and Maru versus Dark as well. However, all the marbles lie on the table between Neeb and Leenock. Let's get over to the commentary team to bring you all the action from the final match of the day.
Thank you, Caleris. All the marbles truly are on the table, as it really just comes down to this match. Should Leenock win, he's through. Should Neeb win, he's through. Loser is just going to have to watch and enjoy some pierogies in Katowice.
Yep, like Todd said, it doesn't always happen, guys. Sometimes there is a final series and then it matters, but it depends on what happens in the other ones. Not this time. This is very simple and very straightforward for all of you guys. The winner moves on, the loser goes home. Almost like it's scripted, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Final match of the day. Everything's on I mean, as Clara said, I can't really improve upon this. All the marbles are on the table. This is something that people classically say.
It's a lot of marbles.
When it gets really down to it in a movie and you know they're about to, serious stuff's about to happen, they take out their bag of marbles, they dump it onto the table, and they say, that's it. These are all the marbles that I own.
I have a good feeling about this for Neeb. I really do.
Wow.
Leenock has definitely played some damn good StarCraft this week, made it to the open bracket as well. Of course, Neeb qualified himself online. So that means that this man has played a lot more games, but he's been very aggressive. Definitely a little bit cheesy as well, and I think in general the American is pretty good against it. But let's see what's going to happen. Our first map is Cyber Forest, and on the left top side, we're looking in the main base of Leenock.
Leenoktopus. That purple hair, man. I like it. In the bottom right-hand side, representing freedom, American cinema, and Las Vegas, Nevada. It's the red Protoss. Put out your eagle wings, eat some American pie. It's Neeb.
That's funny to me because Neeb grew up in upstate New York, which is about the furthest thing away from Las Vegas, Nevada. I don't think the two have anything in common at all.
No, they don't.
But it's still
He also represents upstate New York, Kevin, to make you happy. I just could not keep that introduction going. Cyber Forest, a little bit of a smaller map, Kevin. You were talking about this kind of off-camera earlier. It's a dangerous one, wouldn't you say?
Yep, I think especially in PvT that has a pretty big impact because certain two-base pushes arrive very quick, but definitely it goes for Zerg as well. That is a relatively quick gas. Now with Leenock that doesn't necessarily mean anything crazy, but anytime Leenock takes a gas around 101 or 102, I'm like, all right, my alarm bells would be going up
It's
already.
going to be 7 minutes long, one way or the other.
7 minutes is pushing it already, Jeff. Those Niduses arrive at the 450 minutes these days.
Let's call it 5 1/4 then.
Yeah, we'll see. We know that Leenock loves his Nidus. We know that he loves his Link Floods, his Ravager rushes. You know that a lot of things are capable. I truly believe that Neeb has the upper hand in any game that goes past the 10-minute mark. He already displayed some of his awesome Protoss control when it comes to armies that have Phoenixes, Sentries, and High Templars. Neeb in general is damn good in controlling that, which is really quite tough. I mean, that's when Protoss no longer is that race where you move your Zealots forward, you hope for the best. Now you really need some excellent spellcasting control. Neeb's got that, but Leenock definitely has the aggression going for him.
Okay, it is going to be speed queued up here first for Mr. Leenock. He is not mining gas. He just actually resumed as I say that, of course, or he's just very minorly mining. Yeah, it's just the one drone. So if it is a cheese, it's going to be a little bit more of a developed one. Oftentimes you'll leave the drones on there if it's something like a Baneling bust or a fast layer or something like that. I do like the forward adept from Neeb. Of course, at this point in time, that's kind of the standard for the meta. The idea here being if you can get a drone or two, fantastic. If you can disrupt some slow lings, great. But mostly just to see what the Zerg's doing.
Jeff, that's a lot of Zerglings. I mean, sure, we're always worried about that first adept, but I think most Zergs don't end up making 14 Zerglings against that first adept. If I'm Neeb here, I don't know how much he truly saw that, but he's going to have to be very careful. Now, of course, the traditional 2-adept move out. Neeb has been pretty crazy with his first 2 adepts, and that's nice enough. You can get 4 or 5 drones. If he gets 4 drones, after all these links that have been produced, that is already fantastic, but I'd kind of like to see him just keep these adepts alive. That's not what he does. Well,
you know what, I'm actually okay with this, because he should not lose either.
Okay, that's good.
He actually sees the full number of lings. Now, as we can see, it's 6 drones behind that, so there is no development there, but Leenock is a reactive player. If that doesn't get scouted, who's to say we're not going to see another 30-some-odd lings? But with that getting scouted, he's going to bail out of it. Now, it is going to be a Phoenix first off the Stargate, followed by an Oracle. The Phoenix first would make you susceptible to a Link Flood, but this is also a pretty good SimCity base, I think.
Please keep these adepts at home. I hope that he's just using those shades to scout to make sure he's not getting baiting busted. That was really cool, by the way. We didn't really see it, but he sent 1 adept to the north, 1 adept to the middle of the map, and 1 adept to the south. So if there were any bailings morphing, he would have absolutely spotted it. Well done. It's one of these small things where, okay, now it doesn't matter, but there are moments where that can save your game.
And already some additional gateways on top of this, and that's the kind of safety number of gateways. Now, one thing worth noting, a lot of times Neeb opts for a Twilight Council to head towards Archon drop and then a Robo. Neither of those things are here, so this might be a fast third Nexus, because right now the tech's a little bit late.
Funny to see a Roach Warren being built before a lair got even started. Now Neeb showed a couple of massive adepts move out, and this is a pretty big one as well. It's not as crazy as in the game that he had against Lambo, where I believe it was like 11 adepts. This is still a very reasonable amount of adepts. If he loses all of these adepts, Jeff, who's to say that Leenock is not just going to counter? These queens are already pretty far forward. I'm starting to get a little bit worried. Leenock is stacking up now, but he's been making quite a few units, and Neeb's gonna have to be very careful that he doesn't just throw away these adepts.
The Robo now, there is no Twilight Council behind this. I do have to say, this is a bit weird. There is no third Nexus just yet, and it is still just the 7 adepts, which now have to finish their shade, because they otherwise would just die right there. They're gonna get in here. They're not gonna see much. The angle's not great. They don't have a glaive upgrade, so they should just mostly die, basically. A very peculiar opening here from Neeb.
Yeah, I mean, if he gets a couple of adepts here, the Oracles come in from the right side as well. That's actually kind of cool. He's getting, he's getting quite a bit of drone damage. I mean, I'm not saying it's great, but this is not that bad because Leenock made so many units. Like, if Leenock was playing very greedy, I'd be like, I'm not sure if this is enough. But since Leenock did make a lot of units, I think he might knight us.
Well, does he have a lair?
Yes, it just finished up.
Oh, just finished, okay. It's a lot of queens, so that would kind of make sense with that. I think he's going to go spot and see if, I mean, with him seeing that he has a third, maybe then.
There's no shield battery here, but the 3 zealots and 2 sentries are going to be enough. Look at Neeb. Neeb with the double, triple shield battery at this point. Neeb is really worried, and I can't blame him, because if I was him, I'd be pretty damn worried as well. But instead, Leenock's actually just throwing up a Hydra list then. But often do you see that? A 43 drone Hydra then at the 6-minute mark as well, by the way?
Both players, Kevin, I have to really emphasize this, both players play a little bit delayed and kind of weird.
Yeah.
It is also worth noting that while Neeb is, and I do agree with Kevin's assessment that if it goes past the 10-minute, I can't believe that Oracle's alive, he is going to be like the player kind of driving this. I do feel like he's more comfortable there. But both players, Neeb included, aren't afraid of being like, oh, you left an opening, boom, I'm hitting a timing attack, we're ending this series, this game at least right now. So they're both kind of respecting that. You can see between Leenock's relatively low drone count now swelling back up to a normal one, but before that he had a lot of units.
I mean, we often talk about timings and numbers. 6 minutes and 50 seconds into the game, Neeb still had a minor worker lead over Leenock. That's pretty damn uncommon in this matchup, guys. Most of the time it's 4 minutes and 30 seconds when the worker counts even up. And anything past that, normally Zerg is supposed to Zerg is supposed to be a little bit ahead. Now there are Hydras on the way, there's going to be a couple Ravages as well. I don't think this is a game-ending push, but this is one of those moments where Leenock definitely has to be very careful and make sure that most of his units don't get shaved off by these force fields.
I think this is a recall push, at worst. I think he pushes forward, gets some more units out, and Leenock is respecting the crap out of it. I agree with everything Kevin said, but let's look at it this way, by the way. Leenock's on 3 bases. He's not taking a 4th. It's well past when you should do that. He scouts the 3rd minutes ago at this point in time. So I think Leenock is going to hit a swell of Overlords, and then he's going to just produce units forever, and the game's going to be decided one way or the other.
What I do really like is that Neeb has been pushing back the creep in the middle of the map. This is already a tiny map, so if there's a creep highway in the middle of the map, it really makes it very easy for Leenock to do some of these Hydra attacks. Hydra's on creep, terrifying. Hydra's off creep, a lot less terrifying, especially if Psystorm finishes up. We all know how difficult it is for Zerg players to get out of Psystorm off creep.
And it will finish. This army, I gotta say... Oh, okay.
It's a tiny army from Leenock.
I'm really worried for Leenock. He's getting speed overload behind this, so I wonder if he's going to do some drop alert play. There is a 4th hatch behind this, and he is at 63 workers, so he's kind of ebbing and flowing back and forth. He's going to lose some units here. This push out, though, is getting scouted from across the map. It's constantly covered in Oracle juice, and it's just like, I feel like Neeb's got to be so comfortable. He's got to look at that and say, this is exactly what I'm hoping to face.
Neeb's got to be very happy with how this game went so far. Leenock, just because he made 10 roaches now, will finally take like a 20 supply advantage. But freaking Psystorm is done. You're talking about Archons, Immortals, and Psystorm, and a Zerg that's working with roaches, Hydras, and Lynx is at 20 supply.
Oh, it gets scouted?
This is nothing.
He's going to load it up anyways? He shows the drop of Lords.
What's in the main base of Neeb?
Well, it's about to be a whole heck of a lot if he's paying attention.
Well, I mean, he did tech everything. Infestation Pit, by the way.
Flying over the 4th now.
There could be some Swarmos after all of this. Okay, Neeb is actually a little bit confused about how he wants to split up his army. He's feeling so confident, by the way, Jeff, to go back to everything you said. He's actually sending out Zealots right now. Normally, you don't send 9 Zealots in this phase in the game because you're actually worried about the things that Zerg can do to you. Neeb is like, no, I actually think I can do this.
Non-creep, you gotta go, bud.
Yeah, I think he was looking to cancel that fort, but the fort is actually in the left bottom side, and I don't think Neeb is aware of that.
This is a great counter, because right now it's just Lings. He's actually gonna have to pull back the army. And as Rotterdam just said, yes, the 4th gets canceled.
No, I think he was looking for one.
Well, what I mean is Neeb's 4th. It actually did get canceled by the drop attack, but he now knows the play that Leenock's looking for. He's looking to do this drop play. He sees that it's Roach, Hydra, and maybe a few Ravagers. His army's already cultivated to destroy that. I think Neeb's got to feel really comfortable right now.
Yeah, and now he's actually he's more than ready to deal with this drop, and Leenock has to know this as well. So Leenock is going to use his Infestation Pit only to fire up the Hive immediately. And Leenock probably looks at this right now and he's like, alright, I'm going to try to hit a Broodlord timing, and most likely a Broodlord timing only, Jeff, because there really isn't much else going for Leenock in this game. They're even in workers now, but a minute ago, Neeb was actually still up by 11 workers. That's not common at all.
No. And this army is going to get chopped to pieces here if it gets caught, and it's looking like it might. I feel like Neeb can add Blink if he wants, and then that's like the final piece, right? Like, go ahead and get Broodlords.
Leenock is going to try to drop some units behind this. The thing is, now the rest of Neeb's army is showing up as well. Neeb's army is just so much more powerful. At the same time, there are Zealots countering as well. I mean, Neeb is just all over this game.
Neeb is up 25 supplies. Zealots are running rampant at the natural. The army wins a routing fight. It says, okay, I guess I 1A, 2A across the map. And here we go. I don't even know if he has a Warp Prism to resupply this, which is like a missing piece a little bit. But the standing army might just be too much. Leenock's going to come over here. He's going to try to stand up to it, but Roddy, how do you stand up to this?
I don't think you do. Guardian Shield, Storm, and there's still a couple Oracles in the mix as well that can really add some very nice DPS to this army. There are so many Immortals, and Neeb is just crushing Leenock here in game 1.
Now here come the drones, but it's not going to be much here. The Immortals, of course, do lose their installation, so maybe this fight gets pushed back a little bit, but look at the supplies. It's a 20-some-odd worker advantage. Neeb, again, I think the only reason he's pulling back is because he doesn't have a Warp Prism. It's like actually the only missing element. He's up 60 supply. It's 34 in army and a lot more in drones as well, taking a 4th behind this. And here's the other cost of this, guys. I'm going to do the caster thing because this game's over, but what if it wasn't? If you're transitioning to Broodlords and you just lost your standing army, guess what you can't spend money on? Broodlords. So he's going to make more unupgraded Hydras. He's going to try to replenish drones. Nuh-uh, you're trapped right here. Neeb says, get out. We're going to game 2.
Very, very convincing. It really doesn't get much better and much cleaner for that. This was not a Neeb cutting corners, by the way, guys. This was not a Neeb playing greedy. Nope, he scouted from the very beginning to the end. You pointed out as well, Robo before Twilight. He wasn't trying to get some quick charge in there and harass. He's like, no, I don't want to die to anything. And if you don't want to die to anything, Immortals are good against everything that Zerg can do defensively. And I mean, the work account really didn't lie. I mentioned it multiple times throughout the game. It took Leenock almost 7 minutes to take a worker advantage over a Protoss. That is incredibly uncommon. Normally it's 4 minutes, 30 seconds into the game, maybe 5 minutes if something went wrong against an Adept. But 7 minutes? I mean, Neeb was never in trouble here, never.
He really was, and I feel like it was Leenock ebbing and flowing in and out of various different aggressive ideas. And each time, either through scouting or maybe his own kind of decision to bail out of it, he constantly had units, should have done something with them probably, and then decided to drone. He moved forward and is like, nah, it's not the time. He loads up Droppa-Lords, it gets scouted. So he just constantly was stuck in this really bad middle ground of like, I want to attack, but I know that if I do, I'll just lose. But it came at the cost of drones. And I think that's the big risk that Zerg players run into. If you want to do something aggressive, you're kind of locked into that, right? Because you did that instead of making drones. So all of a sudden, as you pointed out, Roddy, he's just constantly trailing 10 plus workers. That's a really bad spot to be in.
Yep, especially if you don't have any crazy lurkers with adaptive talents to work with.
Tech,
yeah, exactly. Like there are certain unit combinations where Zerg can absolutely hang in there, even if they're down in workers a bit. But Roach Hydra is not one of them, no, especially not when Storm is already out. Neeb, I think, did a phenomenal job in pushing back that creep in the middle of the map over and over again, because on creep, Roach Hydra definitely becomes a lot more powerful, and maybe things could have been a little more awkward for Neeb, but I mean, he took control of it before it ever even reached the middle of the map. Awesome first game by Neeb, that should give him so much confidence, and see if he can secure that ticket into the round of 12 here at the Intel Extreme Masters.
And I do want to say, Leenock, again, we know him to be a very aggressive player, but it was also Neeb that was playing a little bit off kilter to kind of maybe mess with Leenock. The lack of tech, the lack of a third, probably threw Leenock off a little bit, but that's neither here nor there because that's in the past. We're going to have to move forward now into game number 2 on year 0. In the top left-hand side, coming all the way over from Korea, needing your support to get back into the series, it's the Blue Zerg Leenock. 23 years young, looking to make some noise over here.
And on the right top side, looking the main base of our American Protoss, one map away from making it into the round of 12. Representing Ting as well, it is Neeb. Neeb often talks to himself a little bit. I really wonder what he says at moments like that.
Yeah.
It's like a little pep talk, or it's like, oh my god, my gateway wasn't half a second late. Like, what is it, you know?
Sue, if you're listening, maybe a good interview question. Should he come out of this this match alive?
I wonder if he would ever tell us, whether he knows or not. There's also a chance that he says, I honestly don't know, you know, maybe it's just the first random thing.
You'd get a Neeb smile, though.
Yeah,
that's kind of worth it, right? He'd give a little his side.
And then you know that he does know it. If he gives that little awkward chuckle where he kind of looks away, he's like, yeah, I do know what I say.
I don't know. I'm just telling myself that, you know, like the build order and the situation.
Now, year 0 is a very, very large map. Now, normally we'd say it's really good for macro. In the current day and age, we say it's really good for Nidus. Because Niduses don't really care about how long the map is. Should be, by the way. I feel like the larger the distance from Nidus to Nidus, the longer, it should take for units to teleport to the other side of the map.
It's the Overlord, and the Overlord she tells you not to worry about. Right?
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
I'd worry. Leenock's just going to go up to 3 bases, presumably. Behind this, he is, of course, mining that gas to start up speed pretty shortly thereafter. And Roddy broke this down last game, and I do like it. Leenock can play to his image a little bit with that gas. When you see him getting gas, possibilities pop to mind. That's actually a pretty common theme with these top Korean Zergs right now. If I think of Dark, I think that's something that I would kind of attribute to him as well, right? Like, he's a Zerg that, I mean, if you just sit back and go, I'm probably safe to macro, that's exactly when there's a hatchery outside your base, there's 4 queens, there's ravagers, and then there's a Nidus in your main. Like, everything can happen.
So look at this, Jeff. I mean,
mining more gas.
Neeb was very, very annoying with his probe, and he delayed that hatch by quite a bit. And then when Leenock actually could have expanded already, he sent his drone back. There really was no reason to send the drone back. So that hatch is still going to go down, but it's a little bit later than what it possibly could have been.
I think it's going to be Baneling's, Roddy.
It's a Twilight Council as well. It's a little bit ambitious versus Leenock. Now, unless he drops the Robo as well, and maybe he goes for the Archon opening. But if this is like Glaives, I'd be kind of shocked because I would not... Oh my goodness, 252 lair.
It's going to be Nidus for sure.
Yeah.
It's going to be pure Queens and Lings off of this. What's so amazing about this, and we'll see how it pans out, of course, but at least potentially, Neeb goes Twilight here, whereas he went Stargate last game. And if a Zerg thinks you're going to go Stargate again, the Nidus is like death, right? But Twilight Council gives you access to some units that early on, and there's the Robo.
I don't like that Shade... Okay, he lets it finish up, so he will see the lair. He will see it's a very fast
That's a great,
lair.
yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to see that Shade go into the mineral line of the natural, because if you take a look at that mineral line, that's a pretty big tell already. I mean, I think we normally expect 9-10 drones there. A Dark Shrine, that is quite interesting. Obviously, if there's no Overseer, but normally there's always an Overseer.
Well, it's just going up towards Archon drop, I think. But it should be Immortal instead of Warp Prism here.
Yeah, I really hope that he... Do you think Leenock might just Nidus in his face?
Yeah, he might.
It's going to be like a Queen Ling Nidus. Leenock is very, very committed here. This Stalker is going to go down, and that's already a big deal, Jeff, because Protoss has so few units to work with at this point that you need all the DPS you can get your hands off. Where is it? What? Is it outside?
No. He's making the Nidus canal.
Yeah,
He's going to make that first.
Yep, confused. That would have been really fast.
It would have been very fast.
A 4-round trade. Sorry, guys, a little PTSD.
First Stalker dies, like, here's the Nidus. Oh, my God.
Little PTSD, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I mean, you're not too far off. It's coming up.
And losing that Stalker once again is a very big deal. There's so little DPS. I like that he's wiping in Zealots. That does really help.
Yeah, he's still building probes though, which tells me he's not quite...
Overlord. Okay, Neeb sees it. He's going to wipe into Zealots. And the Immortal's in position.
It will not finish.
Nope.
When an Immortal gets there like this, it is not going to finish. That's a huge deal. Now we look towards the natural. Lings to get in.
Okay, now it's a little bit scary.
Splits off to build a Nidus, probably lower right. Yep. That's correct. He gets spotted again. The Immortal can chop that down.
And he's got DTs.
Leenock's on the clock. His life needs these Niduses to finish to get this army in here, although he's dead.
Yep, there are DTs in the mix as well. This Nidus is going to get shot down.
Where's the next one? There's nothing queued up.
I think he's going to have to do it outside, and that's
now he goes outside, but it's been delayed so much.
Dark Templar, get to work.
No, he doesn't see it.
Nope.
But it's fine to finish here. There's no shield battery, so that's the good news for Leenock.
An Archon behind that choke point, by the way, is sick. Yes, he's going to morph all the Dark Templars into Archons.
He's got a Warp Prism coming out too, so he can micro this as well.
Yeah, Neeb is looking in a very, very good position. Okay, that Zealot was a little bit out of position, but the Archon will hold the door.
Oh my God.
And Archons in choke points against
It's all Lings and Queens. He's out.
And Neil Knight is in the main?
There's no drones. Guys, he's got 25 drones. Leenock is all in on this.
Okay.
That's going to finish, but who cares? Maybe the fight is going to get decided right here. They're trickling out. He's targeting it. It actually does die without Queens getting in here. Now the Archon's getting a little bit of a surround that's not good. A lot of its health getting up, but here comes the Warp Prism. He picks it up, and it's going to save these units. The Lings are dying. Another Nidus goes down. There's nothing else here, Kevin.
And he saves the Immortal again. He shuts down that Nidus as well. And Leenock knows it. He has committed almost all of his resources trying to get these Niduses up in the main base. Sure, there are still some Zerglings, but since Neeb is up 18 workers, every second that goes by right now, Neeb's army is becoming more and more invincible for Zerglings to deal with.
He just threw his hands up. He's leaning back. He knows the writing's on the wall. Neeb has survived the aggression of Leenock. Wow. And Leenock dipped into the strong meta and couldn't find the answer. Neeb is going to advance into that top 12, or excuse me, top 12 actually. And he just did it.
And he absolutely deserved it as well. Yeah, I mean, what a run. Neeb making it out of a very, very tough group with some of the best players in the world. Maru was in this group, Dog was in this group, Trap. But Neeb will make it into the round of 12. And I mean, looking at that last best of 3, that was a close to perfect performance by Neeb, if you ask me.
He made all the right adjustments. We know he likes Archon drop, but seeing that it is probably a Nidus play coming his way, instead of going Warp Prism first, he of course goes for the Immortal. If an Immortal sees the Nidus coming in, it will not finish. Leenock, as you can tell, is emotional. This guy fought and battled his way to get here. He's a fantastic player, but he does get stopped short. IEM Katowice 2019, we were saying we'd like some upsets. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've had your fill. There's been quite a grip of them, I would say, as Neeb will advance here. Absolutely stunning results, and hopefully you guys are having a good time. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we'll come back, and we'll wrap up today. We'll see you guys soon.